Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today's video is all about men's leather gloves, in particular dress gloves. I'll talk about the different varieties, the history, the different leathers, hallmarks, and how you can find a pair of quality gloves that provides good value for you and works with your wardrobe. Now, we've already filmed quite a few videos pertaining to gloves, and you can find them on our website here. In my mind, gloves are an exceptional accessory because they emphasize two aspects: form and function. First of all, practically, you need gloves that keep your hands warm and protected. I've grown up in Germany and I live in Minnesota, so trust me, I know what cold winters are like. Now, likewise, you want gloves that don't just look elegant, but that are also comfortable and flexible. And last but not least, they have to fit like a glove. Now, leather dress gloves can be unlined, lined, and you can have specialty gloves, such as driving gloves or golf gloves. Some assume that all gloves are more or less made the same, and therefore they don't have to spend much. Well, they couldn't be further from the truth, but before we dive into the different leathers, the exact fit, and all the little details, let's take a look at the history of gloves. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans have worn gloves for 45,000 years. Big surprise, their development coincides with a major ice age. Gloves with individual fingers may have existed as early as 18,000 BC. Now, the oldest gloves we have today were found in the tomb of King Tutankhamun, and they date to about 1323 BC. Of course, gloves are worn for utilitarian purposes to keep the hands clean and warm, and of course protected. Now look at these chainmail gloves depicted in a 13th century manuscript. Now, it wasn't until the early modern period where gloves moved from a purely utilitarian item to a status symbol. Just look at these gorgeous leather gloves and all the detailing, and those belonged to King Charles I of England. Yes, you're seeing that right. There's lace and decorative silk thread on those pair of men's gloves. Now, as a king, you could afford to just have gloves for decorative purposes. Others would still use them for riding or hunting or shooting. As the modern suit evolved, and by the way, we have an in-depth video about the history here, gloves became more standardized and formalized. With all the pomp and rigor one would expect from the Victorian fashions, the commentator Cecil B. Hartley tells us somewhat sarcastically this little poem about gloves. To be in fashion, an Englishman must wear 6 gloves a day. In the morning, he must drive his hunting wagon in reindeer gloves. In hunting, he must wear gloves of chamois skin. To enter London in his Tilbury, beaverskin gloves. Later in the day, to promenade in Hyde Park, colored kid gloves, dark. When he dines out, colored kid gloves, light. For the ballroom, white kid gloves. Obviously, by the 20th century, these rules had relaxed, even for gentlemen. That being said, an English gentleman would have still been expected to wear regular day gloves as part of the outerwear ensemble, and evening gloves for white tie. Even in the 1920s US, evening gloves for men were still something that could be seen. For example, look at this 1920s advertisement from J.C. Leyendecker. Likewise, the motor mania in the early 20th century made a lot of gentlemen exchange their riding gloves for driving gloves, along with their helmet or cap and goggles. So even now, as cars became all the rage, gloves could be regularly seen on gentlemen of style. As the 20th century progressed, the interest in gloves started to wane. In a nutshell, one could say that the same forces that led to the decline in quality in menswear, and by the way, we have a video about the topic here, men's leather gloves declined in the same way in terms of quality and just general interest in the public. Nowadays, many men think of gloves as mainly utilitarian, that they use when they go outside and it's cold or they have to shovel snow. Now, men's leather dress gloves can be so much more than that, and in today's video we'll show you why and how. As mentioned earlier, you can have the regular everyday winter gloves, you can have driving gloves, or evening gloves. Now, if the purpose of your gloves was just to keep warm, you could just wear a thick pair of maybe skiing gloves. The problem is they're full of nylon, you can't really move your fingers very easily, and it's difficult to, let's say, type on the phone or grab your wallet out of your pocket. Dress gloves, on the other hand, are meant to enhance your outfit while still keeping your fingers warm. In general, poorer quality dress gloves are made of stiffer leathers that are just less comfortable to wear. They may also have a polyester-based fleece lining, which is warm, but the seams are bulky and it just doesn't look good. If you're curious how a pair of $30 gloves stacks up compared to a pair of $300 pair of gloves, check out this video. If you're curious about how you can combine your gloves with your overcoat and your scarf and your outfits, check out this video. Now, when it comes to evening gloves, the whole purpose is not to insulate, it's all about the looks and the elegance of the ensemble. Because of that, you either want an unlined pair of gloves or maybe a silk-lined pair so you can take them on easily, but it doesn't add bulk to the whole look. You want them to fit very tightly, so it just looks really debonair. I think they're really appropriate for white tie occasions. They can also be worn for black tie, but they're not necessary per se. That being said, compared to someone who just shows up in their tux and their overcoat with regular gloves, you will look so much better. By the way, we offer a range of evening accessories, including the evening scarf and the evening gloves, as well as boutonnieres and so forth, in our shop here. If you look at the videos of the Vienna Opera Ball, you can see that men also wear those gloves inside while they dance. Why? Well, not because they're cold, but because it gives you that elegant, more formal look. Now for black tie, on the other hand, you're better served to take out the gloves once you walk in, otherwise it may look a bit pretentious. Again, make sure that the fit is really tight, that you choose a very flexible leather, such as lamb Napa, and that decoratively there's not many seams, it's all very classic and neat. You also don't want any visible seams, but you want the glove to be sewn inside out, so your fingers just look very streamlined and elegant. Now, when it comes to driving gloves, there was a time when they were really necessary. In this day and age, they are not really necessary, but they provide a nice, elegant look in addition to grip on the steering wheel. It also makes you feel very different when you drive in a nice car with a pair of driving gloves on. Driving gloves are for people who want to set themselves apart from the regular commuter. I also think they're particularly nice with classic automobiles, but you can wear them in a modern Ferrari, no problem. By the way, I pronounce it the American way. To learn how to pronounce car names the proper way, check out this video. Now, in order to get a really great pair of dress gloves, you have to have the right materials, which means you want something that is stretchy, flexible, supple, and soft. Based on that, in this day and age, leather is still king. But not any leather is suited for perfect gloves. First of all, they're bovine leathers, which means leathers from cows or calves. Now, calf leathers are regularly prized for luxurious goods such as shoes or handbags or other small leather goods. Unfortunately, it is a subpar leather for dress gloves. Why? It doesn't have the stretchiness required to make it feel comfortable when you wear it. It's also a bit too thick, so it's not pliable and not flexible. And if you have a pair of gloves made out of calf leather or even cowhide, it's just a pain. The other group of leathers are cervine leathers, which are leathers from animals like elk or deer. Now, cervine leather is quite flexible and also durable, and it has a certain level of softness, so it's better suited for gloves than calf leather or cowhide. At the same time, it also has a bit more of a rugged appearance, so for super fine evening gloves or fine leather dress gloves, it's just not as well suited. It has a more casual look. Because of that, you can often see work gloves made out of deerskin, but not so many fine men's dress gloves. Now let's talk about caprine and ovine leather. That's leather from lamb, goat, or sheep. Overall, goat leather is a lower quality leather and not so well suited to glove making. Why? Well, it's sort of rough to the touch and it's not what you want for gloves. Now, sheep leather, on the other hand, can be used in a variety of ways for gloves. First, you can have shearling leather, so you have a suede outside and a white, kind of furry inside. While they're quite warm, they're very bulky and thick, and they can be used for casual gloves at best, not for fine dress gloves. Hair sheep leather, on the other hand, is an excellent glove material. It's soft, supple, thin, yet strong and durable. The English tannery Pittards is tanning their cabretta leather, which is a hair sheep leather, and it's used by glove manufacturers like Dents. Now, in the same vein, lamb Napa leather is really nice for gloves. Why? Again, it's soft, supple, thin, and great for glove production because it has this suppleness, it's stretchy, and it really conforms to your hands. Today, typically, the best raw skins come from Ethiopia or areas around the equator. Now, of course, that's just the raw material. Where you tan the skin also has an impact on the final result. Traditional tanning countries like Italy, Germany, France, or England still have the upper hand in my experience when it comes to getting the perfect glove leather result. For a selection of high quality lamb Napa dress gloves, check out this link here. Now, interestingly, for gloves, porcine leather or leather from anything from a regular pig to a javelina can be extremely nice for gloves. The best glove leather known to mankind is peccary leather, which is derived from the javelina. Some say it's a pig-like animal, even though technically that could be contested, but it's generally found in South America, Middle America, and even in parts of North America. To learn more about the details of peccary and why it is so good, check out this video here. In a nutshell, peccary leather is unmatched when it comes to softness, especially when you consider the fact that it gets softer as you wear it. It has this unique and refined appearance that's definitely more on the casual side. But for being so soft and pliable and supple, it is extremely durable. I've never seen anyone wear out a pair of peccary glove leather. Maybe the seam gives up over time, but the leather itself stands up and it can be resewn because it's such a good product. Because it's derived from wild animals, you will see little marks in leather sometimes, and that's just a hallmark of the true wild nature of the leather. It is also protected by the CITES Convention, and so you have to pay a lot more to produce these gloves and make them, but you also end up with something that is superior to any other glove leather. Now, in recent years, it seems that a lot of people have gotten the peccary leather and carpincho leather mixed up. Now, carpincho is leather from the skin of the capybara, a similar pig-like animal. Now, how can you distinguish carpincho from peccary? For one, peccary has characteristic 3 follicle pores, while carpincho has 5 to 6. Carpincho often looks like a flecked suede, and while it's a cool, casual look, it's definitely different than a peccary. The finished feel of carpincho leather is often supple and soft, but it's achieved by sanding it and working it so it gets that particular characteristic. Peccary, on the other hand, when tanned properly, is just soft from the get-go after tanning. And while some people prefer the look of carpincho compared to peccary leather, it's definitely inferior, even though it is a good glove leather. Now, when it comes to vegan leathers, there really is no vegan leather on the market that would compare to lamb Napa or peccary in terms of the flexibility, the softness, the suppleness, and the durability. So if you're into vegan stuff, you'll have a hard time finding something good. Sometimes you might also have seen exotic leather gloves, and while it's typically done to show a certain uniqueness or just that you're rich as a status symbol, a pair of alligator gloves is typically just with alligator leather on the top part of the hand, because even though it's durable, it's not supple and it's not as flexible. The same is true for ostrich, elephant, snake, crocodile, and so forth. So in my mind, I suggest to stay clear of exotic skins for gloves unless you want a particular look, because the characteristics are just not suited for gloves. Now, when it comes to leather, the tanning and finishing and polishing process can have hugely varying impacts on the final product. For example, when I originally searched for peccary, I checked sources from Peru, which is where most peccary skins these days come from. There were tanners there who could tan it, but the problem was the consistency. Some skin was really soft, the other wasn't soft. One skin had this color, another one that color. Now, when I took that same peccary skin and brought it to a tanner in Germany, he was able to consistently get that same nice color, and it was always buttery soft, much more so than the one from the Peruvian tannery. But the tanners we work with specialize in this kind of leather, and they get the perfect result. We also have the right thickness, we have special colors, and we get exactly what we want every time, so you have a pair of gloves that looks like in the pictures. To learn more about how tanning works, check out this video on the difference between chrome tanned and veg tanned leather. Now, in terms of glove construction, there are slight differences when it comes to men's leather dress gloves. First up, the job of the cutter is really important because he can make sure that the leather stretches in the right direction for the part of the glove that he's cutting or that she's cutting, and they can also make sure that they cut around potential defects so you get the best looking glove that's also flexible in the right direction. Afterwards, gloves can be sewn by hand or by machine. They can be sewn the regular way, so you see exposed edges, or they can be sewn inside out, so you don't see exposed edges. To learn how high quality menswear gloves by Fort Belvedere are made, check out this video here. Now, we always pride ourselves to pay particular attention to details. For example, all of our gloves have a button closure, which was something you would have found in the 1930s. It just creates a nice look on your wrist, and it's something that we wanted to preserve. Likewise, we're adding little quirks, little triangles in between the fingers so you have a wonderful range of movement with your fingers. Of course, you can also use different threads if you want to use the right kind for gloves, something that is not too stiff and flexible, but also not something that comes apart very easily. Obviously, men have different hands. Some have longer fingers, others have shorter fingers, and finding that right balance is key. While most men's gloves are sold in small, medium, and large, or sometimes small, medium is one size and large, extra large is another, at Fort Belvedere we have a range of different sizes which are designed with the wearer in mind, so the smaller gloves have proportionally a different finger length than the larger gloves, just so they really fit you. To learn how you find the right glove size for your hand, check out this video. While most men these days don't own a pair of unlined gloves, I can only highly recommend them. Even when you live in a climate where you have really cold winters, they're perfect in transitional seasons when you maybe wear a trench coat. If you live in warmer areas where the winter is not really cold, having a pair of unlined gloves is all you'll ever need. If you choose a lining, you can go with shearling, but it's quite bulky. Fleece is usually found in cheaper gloves. It's like an artificial material and it's quite warm, but you're also more prone to sweat in it, and I don't like it for gloves. It feels too bulky. Wool is a typical affordable lining. It's an animal hair that insulates reasonably well. Cashmere is a step up from that. It is softer, insulates slightly better, and is just more popular for higher-end dress glove linings. Alpaca is also a great fiber. It's not quite as soft as cashmere, but it has better insulating properties because the hair itself is hollow, thus insulating better than cashmere. Now, another important aspect to consider when buying a pair of men's dress gloves is the color. Most gloves sold today for men are either black or some shade of brown. Now, back in the day, when gentlemen wore 6 different gloves in a day, they typically had very different colors. A popular one was gray, light gray or dark gray. Another one was chamois yellow, which is a rich, nice yellow that contrasts to many items in your wardrobe. It's really fun to compare the glove color to your scarves, and because we offer a range of winter scarves in different colors, we also offer complementing glove colors in our shop. So you don't just have black and brown, but also navy, sand, gray, different shades of brown, red, burgundy, orange, blue. We also have an olive green mustard yellow combination, or a kind of navy blue with lavender accents, or a chestnut brown with some orange accents. That being said, most gloves you buy these days have one uniform color, but sometimes a contrasting accent. For example, the piping, or the button, or the thread color, or maybe the quirks in between can really change the look and feel of gloves and provide great visual interest. Now, when it comes to the points of gloves, many men have never paid attention to that. It's basically the decorative stitching on the back of the hand. Traditionally, you see 3, some manufacturers have 2, 4, or sometimes 5. Sometimes you also have none or 1. We've tried many different options, but 3 just looks the best. We have them all marked by hand and then hand stitched in a very unique pattern. It's a subtle detail that a lot of people wouldn't notice right away, but you can really see it if you compare it next to other gloves that don't have that fine detailing. Now, some leathers can also be treated to be more water resistant than others, which can be a nice feature in the winter, but more importantly, with the popularity of the smartphone these days. It's nice sometimes to have a pair of gloves that you don't have to take off to use your phone. So a pair of touchscreen sensitive gloves is definitely something you want in your rotation. The problem with touchscreen sensitive leather is that it's typically a little stiffer, and so it's not quite as soft and supple as an untreated leather, but an untreated leather won't work on your touchscreen. Because of that, I just have both in my wardrobe, so depending on what my needs are and where I'm going, I can utilize something that I like and is useful to me in any given situation. Now, when you wear what kind of leather? The most casual leather is probably suede, or the most casual cut is like a driving glove. If you want a more formal glove that you wear with suits or to the office, lamb nappa is really nice. For formal evening gloves, you also want lamb nappa. For maybe sport coat combinations or something that can be a little more casual, peccary is the king. For cold weather use, you definitely want them lined, but keep in mind they're not skiing gloves. If you want something that keeps your hand really warm in the Arctic, don't wear dress gloves. With that being said, in today's outfit, I'm wearing a pair of yellow peccary gloves that are unlined. You can see they fit me really well. There's no wrinkle, they sit very tight. I can move my fingers very easily. I have corks here in my fingers. I have these points in the back with a contrast stitching of a contrasting button and piping as a little element of visual interest. The peccary is just so marvelously soft. And I once even forgot them outside. I fell out of my pocket in the winter. They were sitting in a puddle for several days. I came back, I picked them up. When I dried them, they were really hard. But then as I wore them again, they became softer and softer. So it's truly something that is meant to last. And you will likely be able to pass them on to your kids and grandkids, even though they may have to re-sew them, but the leather itself won't wear out. I'm combining these gloves with a yellow linen shirt with a button-down collar and a madder silk tie in green with elements of blue and orange. The pocket square is a wool silk blend with little rabbits on them and elements of green and yellow, so it ties a tie, the shirt, the gloves, and the entire outfit together. Both the tie and the pocket square are from Fort Belvedere, and you can find them in our shop. My jacket is from Isaia. It's double-breasted in brown with a window pane. It's definitely more modern because, as you can see, it has patch pockets, which are more casual, but traditionally double-breasted jackets were more formal. My pair of pants are green corduroys from Polo Ralph Lauren. I'm combining them with a pair of monk straps from Alton. They were hand patinaed, so you can see the different shades of brown. The socks are green and brown, so they tie the shoes and the pants together and pick up the green color of the tie. They're likewise from Fort Belvedere, and you can find them in our shop.